What if the secret to having it all is as simple as calling it into being? However, most people try to call things into being using the human mind using techniques. But the real power doesn't work that way. When you simply rest as I am, the unseen is already called as real without any effort. Welcome everyone to the Secret of Oneness. I know that you all know me because we are one. For those of you who are new here, I teach manifesting through identity using the scriptures. I'm teaching you who you are so that you can have it all without any effort. So, first of all, I want to make a little plug here for my sessions and my texting. If you have a need to do a session with me, or you want a 24-hour texting session, or maybe 3 days, I have those on my website, thesecretofoneness.com. And also, I'm still working on the app. The app is going to include all of my teachings. It's going to include AI. It's going to include my voice that will speak to you as you ask questions. It will give you the feedback, as well as I'm going to have membership. I'm going to have my ebooks you can purchase through there. It's all going to be inclusive. So I'm still working on that, and I'll give you guys an update once I have closer to finalization. So let's get into the scripture. We're going to talk about Romans 4:17. And actually, when I kind of thought about this scripture earlier, I thought, I'm sure I've talked about this one before because it's such an epic and powerful scripture. But apparently, it was nowhere in my notes. So we're going to hit this today. So let's start off by reading it in the original Greek. And it says, "As it has been written, a father of many nations, I have made you, before whom he believed God, the one, giving life to the dead and calling the things not into being, even existing." So I know that might be a little bit different than what you're used to hearing in the typical biblical perspective, but that's the Greek version of it. And I was only going to break down just the last part about giving life to the dead and calling things into being, things not into being, even existing. But as I went through the whole scripture, I realized it was extremely more powerful when you read it as a whole, instead of just using the last part, even though the last part is kind of the big key of it. So we're going to just break down some of the words really quick so we can give an overview on what this is actually talking about. So the first one is a father, and that's Greek 3962. And it's the word patēr or patēr, and it means father, one who imparts life and is committed to it. A progenitor, bringing into being to pass on the potential for likeness. So a father is someone who imparts life based on their own potential likeness. The word nations, this is interesting. It's Greek 1484, and it's from the word ethō, which means forming a custom or culture. And properly, it means people joined by practicing similar customs or common culture. It says nations, usually referring to unbelieving Gentiles. This is the non-Jews. This is what it's talking about. The nations I have made you. He's talking about the unbelieving Gentiles. I want you to get that. He's talking about everybody, not just the Jews. And in fact, he's excluding the Jews from this verse. So he's saying, I have made you a nation, right? But he's talking about the non-Jews. This is very interesting. I have made, in Greek, is 5087, and it means to place. Deliberately place something into position or establish. The word before in Greek is 2713, and it means directly opposite in the presence of. So we might think that before means that it's something that has come before something else. But in this case, before means to be standing in opposition or directly in the presence of someone. Okay? He believed in Greek is 4100, and it's from the word, from 4102, which is the word pistis, which means faith. which is derived from 3982, which is pithō, which means persuade or be persuaded. So God in the Greek is 2316, and it's the word theos, and it properly means the God, the creator and owner of all things. So I want to point this out because it says the creator and owner of all things. So remember, when we talk about all things are available, right? All things exist within you. All possibilities exist. Right here, it's showing you that God is the owner of all things. So this is verifying that all things do exist within you. So let's move on to the next one here, giving life. And this is cool. This is Greek 2227. And it's from 2221 and 4160, which means alive and make. So giving life means to make alive. It means to quicken. It means to animate. I want you to get that. We always talk about the human character, right? That you're not the character, that you are the avatar. So when God is giving life to something, he's animating it. Well, he's animating you. So figuratively, the cause what is dead or inoperative, to have life empowered with divine life. So when it's talking about giving life, it's talking about things that are inoperative. But the interesting thing is, I'm going to talk about in the next one here about what the inoperative actually means. But to give life means to have life or empower with divine life. So you're empowered with the life of God. So the next word here is the word dead, and it's Greek 3498, and it's the word nekros. It's an adjective derived from nekis, a corpse, a dead body. So this is where we get the word necrosis from, in the word, or the word necrosis from, which is this word dead in Greek, is nekros. So it means dead. Now, we know what dead means, right? But check this out. It means literally what lacks life. Now, what life did we just talk about? We talked about divine life. So it says here that the dead is not able to respond to impulses or perform functions. It's unable, ineffective, dead, and powerless. It's unresponsive to the life-giving influence, opportunities, and it's inoperative to the things of God. Do you get that? Things that are dead are inoperative to the things of God. This is why the Bible talks about the body of sin is dead. Why they talk about that the old man has been crucified, because the physical reality is dead to the things of God. But we can call those things to life because we have the empowered divine life within us. But we're going to get into that. Calling in Greek is 2564, and it's the word kaleo, and it means to call, to name, to invite. You are naming it as real and summoning it into expression. The original word is akin to the base of 2753, which is the word ordered, which means to command, to order, or to direct. So calling something into being is to command, to order, and naming it as real or summoning it into expression. So the word the things, and I almost skipped this word, but because it says the things in Greek, it means the definitive article. The things that are not. It's what it's talking to. It's talking about the things that are not, the non-existent, the unseen, and the not yet. So remember, the context around a lot of this Greek is obviously 2,000 years old. So when it's talking about the non-existent, obviously it's talking about the non-physically existent, because we know that all things exist within you. So the things it's talking about that are not yet are things that we cannot physically or visibly see in the 3D world. Now, the word into being is the Greek word emi, and it's 1510, and it means it's the basic Greek verb which expresses being, to be or am or is. So the next word here is even. Now, I almost skipped this one too because I didn't think that was relevant, but it's incredibly relevant because even in Greek is 5613, and it means as, like, when, while, since, or because. It means treating one thing as if it is another. So it's actually the bridge between the unseen and the seen realm, because the word existing, which is the last word in this verse, is the same word as being. It's 1510, it's the word emi, which is the basic verb expressing being, or am, or is. So let's go through what this verse actually means. So I have it written here in the kind of the metaphysical version, and we're going to get into this because when you understand what's actually happening and how you do this, I'm hoping that this is so simple that you never have to watch another video again, unless you just want to be interested in what I'm teaching. But it says here, as it has been written, I have deliberately placed and established you as the one who imparts life and brings into being the potential for likeness across all peoples, joined by common custom and culture. So this is starting off by saying that you've been deliberately placed and established for someone who imparts life and brings the potential for likeness across all people, joined in common culture and customs. And this was set in the direct presence of the Creator and owner of all things, the one in whom he was fully persuaded. So here we have again that this was done in the direct presence of the Creator, who is the owner of all things, all potential things. The Creator and the owner of all things is the one who makes alive what is lifeless, inoperative, and powerless. So you are one with the Creator. Remember the last teaching I talked about was the word yatsar, which is the root word for imagination in the original Hebrew. And the Creator and owner of all things is your imagination. That's the power. That's what makes things alive, from being lifeless and operative and powerless, and who calls the things that do not yet exist by name, summoning them into expression as though they already are. So you are calling things, you are deciding this is real now, and those things are summoned into expression because they already exist. They already exist in potential. They already exist on the other side of what we would call the 3D into the 4D. But the thing is when you look at it as a whole, the 3D, the 4D, the 5D, the 7D, the 10D, whatever you want to call how many Ds, it's just all reality. But we sometimes separate the 3D and the 4D and the 5D to give a human perspective of intellect to understand it. But the reality is it's all just reality, okay? Now, let's give a little bit of an update on what this means. So this verse is revealing the exact creative process. Now, again, we're not creating anything. We're just making things that are invisible visible. And it happens from a place of simply being I am, okay? And we're going to get into the difference between I am versus calling things into being that are specific, because I know there can be some confusion around that. The one who forms reality does not look at what currently appears and try to fix it. So many of you who I've talked to will say this: I'm having this issue, this SP is doing this, and my past has this trauma, and I don't know what to do about this bill that is due in like 2 weeks, and I don't have the money for. You're all trying to form a reality by looking at something that's currently there, and then you're trying to fix it. You can't fix what's already broken, okay? If you're calling it broken, you're saying, I'm lacking, I don't have something, I'm missing something, this is gone, this is wrong. How do I correct that? You can't fix that because you've already decided it was broken. It's like saying somebody has a terminal illness and saying, well, how do I heal that? You can't, because you've already labeled it as terminal. You can't heal terminal because you decided and you've called it terminal. Okay? So the one who forms reality does not look at what currently appears. What you're actually seeing is completely irrelevant. From pure being, it deliberately places a new state into position and calls the unseen as though it already is. So if you are in the seen realm and you're saying that this is a problem, I have this circumstance, and you're deciding that this circumstance is existing, then that is your existence. That is what you're going to see. That's your perspective. That's your perception. But this is saying when you go back to just purely being the I am, resting in the presence and the knowing of who you are, that deliberately places a new state, a brand new state into position and calls the unseen as though it already is. So instead of saying, I'm broke, I don't have the money to pay the bill, and I'm in this state of lack, you go back to the I am and say, I am abundant. This is my new state of abundance. I'm no longer going to look at what currently appears and try to fix that. I'm going to declare a new position and decide that this is my unseen and it's already is. So it says here, I have the dead is anything in your experience that appears lifeless, stuck, or impossible. So if you have a situation that you have decided is lifeless, stuck, and impossible, that's something that's dead. And it's inoperative in the things of God. The things that are not are the desires and the conditions that have not yet shown up. Okay? Now, when I say here that it's not yet shown up, remember, it's not about the outside. It's not going to show up something that you have not yet already experienced within. If you are experiencing lack within yourself and you're deciding this is my new state, but you're still deciding that you are the old reality and you're experiencing that within, that's the same thing as trying to call something from lack. I hope you understand that. You can't be both at the same time, okay? You can't be lack calling things forward. And the things that appear are not going to be things that are a surprise to you. You're not going to be like, I'm broke, I'm in lack, I'm desperate, I'm depressed, I don't know what to do, and then turn around and manifest a bunch of money to pay your bills. Because you are already being the person who's broke. So, notice the calling. When we call things into being, they do not come from the human character trying really, really hard, which is what most of you are trying to do. It comes from resting as the I am, which is the pure awareness that already contains all things. So, if you contain all things, you can contain lack and you can also contain abundance. The question is what are you deciding is real? What are you deciding is true for you? Okay? Because you're not separate from the power, because you are the power. When you simply rest as the I am, the calling happens naturally because you are the power. I'm hoping that makes sense, because I know some people are like, what's the difference between being the I am and calling something specific into being? I'm glad you asked. Because when you return to the simple awareness of being and stay there without adding anything, you are already resting in the place where all things already exist, right? Now, you may say, well, yeah, they all exist, but how do I get them to become visible? And right there, you're saying, I'm already and still in lack, and I need to do something to make something appear on the outside. But remember, you have to be it on the inside. because a specific desire does not come from something separate that you are not already. Okay? So I have here the specific desire is not something separate that you have to accept or feel as real. People have always talked about you have to feel it real. You have to accept it, okay? But it's already contained within the pure being. You're not trying to accept something that's not already there. You're not trying to feel something real as to make it real. It's already real. So the moment that you start trying to accept the desired state or feel it real, you can subtly leave the pure I am and move back into the human character who is trying to make something happen. I want you to get that, because that is an epic, holy shit moment if you get that. The moment that you are trying to accept the desired state or feel it real, you are subtly leaving the pure I am and you're moving back into the human character who is trying to make something happen. So true resting as the I am is formless. Remember, the I am is the faceless, formless, invisible substance of power. It's a substance of power. It's already present. It's the faceless, formless. It's invisible, but it is a substance of power. That is who you truly are. So the moment that you start trying to accept a desired state or feel it real, you're saying, I'm in lack, but I have to feel this real. And you're placing conditions on trying to make it visible. It does not need a name or to feel or particular thing within yourself to know that you already have it all, because it simply is. So here's the key. This is the key. From that pure resting, whatever needs to appear will appear. Not because you called it specifically into form, but because you stopped identifying with the lack and rested as the source itself. That's all you need to do. You don't need to accept something. You don't need to make something happen. You don't have to believe something into existence. You just have to stop identifying with the lack and rest as the source. Rest in the power. Rest in the knowing that I am already all things. I am the power. There's nothing for me to do. There's nothing for me to get, because I am. That is the simplest and most powerful thing that you can do. And that's how you call things from the unseen into the seen. Now, the simplest and highest practice is this, and I'm going to walk you through a practice. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. First, stop focusing on the lack or the dead appearance. Whatever is dead, stop focusing on it. Return to the simple awareness of being I am. Man, I just got a really big bill in the mail and I don't know how I'm going to pay it. But I know everything's been taken care of because I am. I already know that everything's done, everything's taken care of. And you shift your focus from the thinking down into the heart, into the chest area, and just sink down in and be like, everything is perfect. Your mind's going, no, it's not. You get the bill. How are you going to pay it? Everything is taken care of because I am. Right? You return to the simplest form, which is I am. Just be I am. Okay? When you remain there and you don't argue with the outer world, then everything shifts in your favor. Everything gets unfolded perfectly for you because you're not trying to create anything. You are resting as the I am, in which the desired state already exists. The bill being paid, when you rest in the fulfillment, everything has been taken care of. You're resting in the bill already being paid, the relationship already being restored, the job already coming your way. Okay? and allowing it to be called into form. You're not doing something to get something. You are allowing the I am, the power within you, to form and create that reality that you need to see visibly. The less that you do, the more you simply be, the more naturally it happens. Because when you are resting in fulfillment, everything just naturally unfolds because you're being the person who's fulfilled. You can either be the person who's fulfilled, or you can be the person in lack who's trying to make something happen. That was a big key for me, because for the longest time I was trying to see, let's just say, a car or a person or a vacation. I was trying to visualize myself being there, visualizing myself driving the car, visualizing myself with all the money. And then it occurred to me one day, I already have everything. I just have to stop being the person who doesn't have it. Now, I mentioned a little bit ago that there is a difference between just resting as the I am and having everything unfold perfectly. You can call those things into being specifically that you want. Okay? And from that place, when you return to simply being in the I am, when you're resting in the I am, if you want, because remember, the I am is the highest power. That is the ultimate level of manifesting or bringing things into existence. But if you want to identify the human character as an actor, an artist, whatever you want to be, whatever you're choosing to own, or whatever vacation you want to go on, from that place of pure being, just accept the desired state as already true and feel it real without any effort. If you want something specific, if you want to be on a beach in Florida, or you want to be, I don't know, in Paris, then simply see that within yourself and recognize this is true for me. And just feel that as a real and natural state. And those things will manifest specifically. But here's the thing. When you allow the I am to unfold it perfectly, it already knows all of those desires. It already knows you want to put your feet in the sand in Florida on a beach. It knows that you want to go to Paris. It already knows all things because it's you. Because there is no God that's separate. Some people are like, well, does God know that that I want this? Or is it God's will for me to do that? God is not separate. That's religion. Religion teaches you to pray to a God and ask him his opinion on what you should be doing with your life. But the reality is you are God. You are the power. So in this case, you call those things that be not as though they were. And you can either do them from the full I am and rest in the power and allow everything to show up, or you can choose specifically. But remember, the less you do and the more you simply be, the more naturally it appears.